Bang! Neeves Knives. I'm Jared, and this is the Vosteed Nightshade. Now, this knife has been crazy useful. This blade shape works so good for so many things, and it is very unconventional, the blade shape, but man, I've been extremely impressed with how useful it is. Now, when designing the knife, they were telling me that they were looking at the kukri and the Nesmuk and the shilling cutter for like inspiration. Now, boy, did they knock it out of the park. I know there's a lot of questions about the Vosteed knives and where people can get them. Is there a website? You know, these two knives are going to be available in September to early October. Now, the website is in process right now. They're working on it, and as soon as it's available, I will try to let everybody know. And they're also trying to get into, Blade HQ and other, knife companies, obviously. So, and I know people don't like seeing knives that they're not able to get, but the thing is that you got to pay attention because this is a prototype, but it's literally right around the corner from being dropped. So now is the time to know about it and to pay attention so that you can get it when it drops. You'd hate for it to be available and be sold out. So now is the time to kind of pay attention. But this knife is an N690 full flat ground blade, beautiful blade shape. I'll get more into that in a second. We have a brass bolster, black micarta, very well done micarta too. You can really see the fibers, and it has a beautiful texture to it. Steel liner lock that is beefy. These liners are nice and thick. And then we have a deep carry clip. Some weight relieving. We have a couple standoffs back here. But let's get into the good stuff, right? The ergos and cutting performance. Now, the ergos on it, it is slim, as you can see, but it almost has like a perfect thickness and depth at the same time. And I do like how it goes from thinner and gets thicker back here. Somebody asked me the other day, what do I prefer? Thicker to thinner or thinner to thicker? And it took me a second to really think about it. And after really holding some knives, I definitely prefer thinner to thicker because the way your hand goes, you kind of use these fingers to kind of balance and control. Obviously, still use them for leverage too. But back here, you use it from the muscles in your arm to really squeeze the knife back here. So I like having something to actually squeeze onto. But the ergos are really nice. I feel the clip, of course, it's a deep carry clip. But it's not bad. It's not bad in the hand. And the blade shape is facing towards everything, you're going at. Even if you do like side cuts, it's facing towards it. If you're going around the side of a package to get to the side to, cut the tape on a box, bam, it's facing it. If you go around to the back side of something, bam, it's facing it. It's always facing everything, and the material gets trapped right here into the belly when you're cutting. Now, I took it to work, and I was working all day. I was cutting straps, boxes, plastic tape, etc. All kinds of things. And I just couldn't help but love how useful this thing was. And it made it where it was like, man, I need more blade shapes like this because holy cow, it worked great. Now, for like cutting cardboard and things like that, like I said, it does trap the material really nicely into the blade, so you're not slipping out. You don't have that where like some blade shapes where you're cutting and it just slips out. No, even if you're backed up like this doing push cuts, it's like it traps it in there. And then if you're doing, just regular slicing like this, it's like it's almost like you never run out of blade, because it just kind of keeps it trapped, and then you have the grit pattern always going towards the thing you're cutting. Now, you can also do like unconventional cuts, like I was spinning it around and cutting things backwards like this, where I was taking it in my hand and literally cutting things backwards. And it worked. And, I kind of did it for fun. I didn't have to do it, but I was basically just trying to show how many different directions this knife will cut in and actually work good. So basically any direction you're gonna cut, this thing is it works great for, you know, changing grips and going in different directions. And a lot of times that's a big deal to people, you know, if you have to do that, you know, during the day. If you have to go from one direction cut to another very quickly, this thing's awesome. Now the tip on it is nice and acute, but durable enough to where you're not worried about chipping or breaking it. But no, it's not for prying or anything like that, but you can pick with it. You can kind of let this handle go right in your palm, you know, and brace your finger just like any blade, and use it as like a little pick, you know, to pick at things, and, you know, possibly maybe a little bit of scraping, but it's really not for that. But, you know, you can obviously do it. It's your tool. You do what you want with your tool. But these pinch grips, you know, are really good for cutting sideways. And then the utility cuts, this thing is a beast for utility cutting. It's not a conventional utility cutter like you would think of, say, like this. You know, this is the Kizer swayback, but it's not a conventional utility cutting blade shape. However, it works as good, if not better, because one, you have the tip facing down towards what you're cutting, but two, you do have that little bit of belly dragging the material into the blade as you're draw cutting. So yeah, utility cuts are beautiful with this thing. And like I said, you know, I was doing some weird cuts just to show how you can change directions really fast without you know, even thinking about it. Now, cutting straps. This knife, it's a great shape for getting up and behind straps. Like the shape, you can go right in from the side, right behind it, turn it towards you, and yank on that strap. Now, other blade shapes, you have the chance of the strap slipping up and around the blade shape. And in this case, it faces towards you. So it gets caught right here. So when you yank, it gets trapped on the edge, and you don't have to worry about it slipping up and around the blade, which is really nice. So you'll see me here just cutting straps, and this wasn't like me working or anything. I was just trying to show you in this clip how easily you can just grab a strap, get in there and yank on it and cut the strap. I showed a few clips of me, you know, going through straps and cutting them, and, you know, just basically showing you how easily this thing cuts straps and how good it is. Because at work for me, you know, I deal with a lot of straps, a lot of packages, or a lot of pallets come with tons of straps. So straps is just a normal thing that I have to cut during the day. So I appreciate a blade that can get up and behind a strap and cut it efficiently. And this one does do it very, very well. The action on this thing, if you look, you see the blade does hang out quite a bit. Not in a bad way. I'm just saying it. You know, it's got that leaf-shaped blade, so it does hang out a little bit. The detent is very good for, you know, and this is a prototype. So, and I love the action on this thing. You would think that the flipper tab, how can it have leverage? It's underneath the center of the pivot. Now, normally we want to see flipper tabs above the center of the pivot so we have leverage. Technically it is. What you can't see is that this flipper tab goes up and over. See how it goes up and around? So technically, even though you're pushing it right here, all the pressure is being pushed right up there, and it works fantastic. The flipper tab is very comfortable. You see that does have the jimping on it for the light switch, but if you want to push button it, it's very comfortable. I mean, it's super comfortable. I actually really like this type of flipper tab, meaning the shape of it and just how it's, you know, how it's shaped. It's very comfortable to the flip, and the detent is nice and strong, but not too strong. You get a lot of leverage in it. It's very easy to deploy without failing. I don't think I've ever like failed it. Right there, I'm trying to fail it. I can probably fail it if I really want to, but it's not easy. It's not easy. It works great. And technically I can reverse flick it. Now you might not be able to because this isn't the easiest one, even though you have a lot of room to go off of. I find it easy, but I know other people have trouble doing that. Basically, all I'm doing is I'm taking the side of my finger, and instead of going like this, I'm putting the whole side of my finger on the blade so that I have a contact point of really big when I do that. Now, the internals. This does have internal stop pins inside there. You can see the stop pin going around right there, and it locks up back there. So that's really nice. Nice strong lockup, by the way. Very, very strong. No play, any directions. It's on ceramic caged bearings, ceramic detent ball. The liner lock is extremely easy to get to. You can see that. And it's the way I like it too, where I can go right from the side. I love that. I don't have to fight for it up here in the front. I can just bam, right from the side. Oh yeah, and the detent ball, nice and early. So you don't have to worry about hitting it or anything. And it is Kizer's smooth action. I forgot to say that. Kizer is the one making these. But so you can expect the action that you get from, you know, Kizer's 2021 models. Because there's a difference there. Kizer redid their pivot idea, and it is ultra smooth. Extremely smooth. Complete fall shut action. And it's very nice. Now it does have those little cutouts for you to drip oil down into. You can see them right there where you see the brass from the caged bearings. You see those little tiny little square cutouts. You can drip oil down in there, which also takes a little bit of weight off from the pivot side. Then the pivot, you know, is nice and smooth. They got the cutouts for the bearings to roll on, basically like a little track for the bearings to roll on. And it makes it ultra, ultra smooth. And they pushed it all the way over to the farthest side, so all the weight is in the blade. Now, the clip and carry. Clip works great. No problems with the clip. It's just a standard deep carry clip, so nothing special, but it works great. I like that they have flat screws, so nothing is in the way, in and out of the pocket, no problems. The clip works great. The only thing is that you do feel it in your hand, but not bad. Maybe some people might be different, but I guess the way it goes, like the deep carry clips that usually bother me are the ones that sit like this. This one, if you notice, sits like that. So it's in like that spot of my hand right here where it's nice and padded. So it doesn't bother me one bit. And all the screws, you know, I wish they would do T8s all the way around. We have, even though they're good quality screws, this one is up a little bit higher than the other one. We'll get into the bad right now. So one negative thing is the screws. Now this is a prototype, so you know, take it with a grain of salt. It's not, you know, that big of a deal. I prefer T8s. This one's up a little bit higher than this one. So that's not that big of a deal because, you know, it's a prototype. These are inset, so not a big deal. We do have a T8 pivot. We'll get into sharpening here in 1 second. Next thing, now you see how we do have a decent plunge grind. I want to say that right now. Decent plunge grind. Not the best in the world, but it's a decent one. You see it starts right here, ends right here. And I have sharpened this, so I did already do steel removal. So you see how much more life I have to sharpen away. So they do give you plenty. Now this side, the grind was slightly off from one side to the other. Now that was mostly at the heel. The tip, which I'm going to go over sharpening here in a second. The tip isn't perfectly matched, but that was actually my fault, not the grind. The grind actually matched up here at the tip. That was just me. But down here at the heel, you can see I'm almost all the way to the plunge grind with my sharpening. And on this side, I still have life. And what I'm talking about is the separation from the edge to the plunge grind. If you look at this side, you see how it's touching it. That's the grind. It's just a little off from one side to the other, but as I said, it's a prototype. So it's not that big of a deal, but you know, I'd like to see that cleaned up on the regular models as much as possible. One other complaint that I have, and I technically forgot to mention it on this knife, it's the same issue. The branding, too much. This looks very cheap, putting Nightshade right there. If you're going to do that, do it very small up and around there. You know, the N690 is fine because I like to know the steel, but the big logos like that, it looks very cheap, and when people see them on websites like that, it cheapens them. Literally, people won't buy knives because of big branding like that. So I would recommend the company do something different with the logoing. And, you know, obviously if they already have them made, it's not affecting anything and it's still just fine. But in the future, you know, big writing like that, it just makes, you know, it makes it look ugly when you can make it really tiny. That N690 isn't bad. I don't mind that. But, you know, just big logos basically on the blade. You know, I understand their branding. That's not really that big of a deal. I'd make it smaller if it was me, but it's not that big of a deal, the branding. But when you get to the other side and you see bang, 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 you know, it winds up being a little too much. Next thing is, I'm not a big fan of shiny liners. Now this does have a great look to it, in my opinion. I like that it's unique. I like that it's different. And the liners do match the blade. And it's not that I want coated liners. I just like it when the liners aren't shiny, you know, like kind of like the shiny clip thing. It just makes it look cheap, and they have a great opportunity to kind of darken it, you know, stone wash it or something, you know, to where it just doesn't look like it was just cut out of a sheet of stainless steel and, you know, put on a knife. You know, a little bit of finishing work is always nice. Now, these are going to be at a price point to where that's not a good argument for me because it's at a price point where I can't really complain. Now, other than that, really, man, this thing's pretty awesome. The fit and finish is really good. Everything lines up really good. The action's been insane. The no detent lash. The lockup is solid. Liner's easy to get to. Locked up, rock solid. I like that they didn't put anything in the way of the choil right here. So if I do want to add a finger choil there, or a new sharpening choil, I have all the room in the world to do that. Now, let's talk about sharpening really quick, because this is a blade shape that's a little weird. All right, so I know a question is, how is this blade shape to sharpen? So I've already tested it on this stone, and then I also made sure I tested it on a fixed angled system, and fixed angled system works fine, no problems. And then with freehand, you just have to angle, which, you know, is normal, you know, depending on the blade shape. You have to angle your hand, whether this way, this way, this way, whatever. And in this case, you just angle it back because you want to start with the heel first. So once you have your angle, start with the heel and then drag down and lift to the tip. Very easy. So it's pretty easy to sharpen on a flat benchstone or a fixed angled system without no issues. Now let's see how this N690 takes an edge. When you're stropping a blade like this, You can use something like this. This will work really great. This is a work sharp field sharpener, linked in the description if you want to get one yourself, because it's nice and thin, very easy to use. But if you don't have something like that and you have something maybe a little bit bigger like this, you are going to have to start with your wrist high and then drop it down as you're going across the belly. So if I lay this on this really quick, because this is just a piece of leather with my compound on there. I have green compound on there. I'm going to start with the tip. As I'm going across, I'm going to slowly kind of roll my wrist up. So I'm going to start with my wrist up high, get to the tip, start going across, and I'm rotating my wrist kind of back and down at the same time to get down to this heel. Up high, and I'm kind of going like this as I'm going across till I get to the heel. Now here you can see how sharp it got. It did take an incredibly sharp edge. I sharpened it to about 600 grit. Now some people are going to ask me, how does N690 take a polish? It takes a fantastic polish. No issues with its polish. It takes a nice, sharp, aggressive, toothy edge. It keeps a lot of bite in a polished edge. But in this case, I did a medium grit, which in my opinion, it took an incredible medium grit. This thing is extremely sharp. Now, I did change the angle just a little bit, and I laid it back slightly. Not a lot, a couple degrees. I'm not sure exactly what angle it was at. I'm guessing 20 degrees. I put it 17, so I changed it 3 degrees, and it came out so good. The steel felt very good on the stone, sharpened up really good. It felt nice and hard on the stone. No issues deburring, no issues with anything. It sharpened up incredibly well. So very happy with how Kizer is doing their N690. So I would definitely put it right there with other companies' 14C28N, which is a big statement for me because I really like 14C28N. So it's right there, right? It's right there. I prefer 14C, but that's neither here nor there. The point is that it felt that good on the stone. So, and N690 holds a great edge. It's a great steel for pocket knives. It's going to have good corrosion resistance, so you're not going to have to worry about rust as long as you take care of it. It's going to hold a good edge. It's easy to sharpen, and the way they're doing it, you know, it's taking an incredible edge, regardless if it's a toothy edge or polished edge. And it's, yeah, good job, Kizer. I'm glad that they chose to start working with N690. Now, finishing this up. So these things will be available in, September, October, early October. Like I said, I will get the information on the website. I am very impressed with these Dettolith knives. I'm glad that Kizer is doing them because I do like what Kizer's doing right now. I think they're doing incredible work. And, jump on them. That's all I can say. Jump on them because I have a feeling they are not going to be there very long. They're probably going to sell out pretty quick. And I can't recommend these knives more. I think they're both incredible knives. And they're going to be for a price point. Now, I will say this. Hopefully you guys are still here because I did underprice this by a little bit. It looks like these are going to be right around about $120 for the 20CV M390 model, which I still think is a fantastic value, but I originally said around $100. It's going to be a little bit more than that. It's going to be around the 120 mark, possibly a few dollars more, but still right there. It's not going to be much more, which I still think is in the ballpark of a great value for what you're getting here. Now, I'm not sure the N690 models, I am guessing right around $60 just because of looking at their other stuff. So, yeah, I'm not sure if this one's going to come in any 20 CV or anything like that. I think it's great the way it is. I'm not sure all the other materials and everything they're going to come out in, but you know, I would imagine they're going to have some different versions of this eventually. Maybe they might start off with just these, see how it does. I'm not sure about that, but you know, once the website's done, you guys will be able to see all the options that are available for these. And I love you guys. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.